On August 12, 2025, the disputed skies above Scarborough Shoal erupted into crisis. From a hardened coastal battery 142 nautical miles inland, China launched a weapon never before fired in anger, the HQ-19, a hypersonic anti-stealth interceptor engineered to hunt what most nations could never even see. Accelerating to Mach 14, its warhead was programmed to annihilate America's most elusive bomber in just 42 seconds. The target was a legend of aerospace power, the B-2 Spirit. One of only 19 in the world, a flying wing valued at $2.1 billion, it carried 40,000 pounds of precision ordnance within its cavernous bay. On radar, the Spirit appeared no larger than a pigeon. Yet on that morning, it was suddenly the bullseye of Beijing's bold gamble. In Washington, the attack registered not as warning, but as provocation. Within hours, the order was signed: retaliate. The counter-strike would be surgical, overwhelming, undeniable. Two Spirits, armed for deep strike, would spearhead the mission. Stealth fighters would escort them, while a swarm of suicide drones launched from a carrier prowling the Philippine Sea prepared to drown Chinese defenses from below. The objective was precise: erase the launch site that dared to target America's crown jewel. Did the Chinese missiles hit the B-2? How much did China pay for deliberately attacking America's symbol in the sky? Join me in discovering the truth. On August 12, 2025, at precisely 9:42 a.m. local time, the calm morning skies over the South China Sea were split by the ghostly silhouette of America's most expensive war machine, the B-2 Spirit. It was a rare sight. Only 19 of these aircraft exist, each a $2.1 billion asset with a wingspan of 172 feet and a bomb bay capable of holding 40,000 pounds of precision-guided ordnance. On radar, it registered as little more than a bird in flight, a radar cross-section no larger than a pigeon. That morning, it was cruising home from a classified mission, gliding silently above Scarborough Shoal, 120 nautical miles off the Philippine coast. For Washington, these skies were international airspace. For Beijing, they were sovereign territory. The difference in interpretation would ignite a confrontation. 47 seconds after the first trace appeared on an over-the-horizon radar screen inside a coastal bunker, a trained operator whispered the call sign no Chinese officer wanted to hear. B-2. The system's range was 300 miles, but the echo was faint, just 0.1 square meters in reflection. Still, it was enough. Alarms blared, and an HQ-19 surface-to-air missile was ordered to launch. From its canister roared a hypersonic interceptor with a 400-pound fragmentation warhead accelerating to Mach 14, nearly 10,700 miles per hour. The countdown was brutal: 42 seconds to intercept. Inside the Spirit's cockpit, warning tones screamed. The pilot banked hard, rolling the flying wing away while electronic countermeasures painted the sky with false signatures. At 35,000 feet, the missile closed in, lost lock, and detonated prematurely. A blinding flash lit the horizon, but the bomber emerged untouched. From first detection to final detonation, the encounter lasted just 1 minute and 54 seconds. Yet in that sliver of time, a line had been crossed. For Washington, this wasn't just a near miss. It was the opening move of a dangerous game. The moment the B-2 Spirit's pilot confirmed the missile detonation, a priority flash report raced through secure channels to Indo-Pacific Command, Indo-PACOM, in Hawaii. Within minutes, a cascade of intelligence followed. At 9:47 a.m., less than 5 minutes after the Scarborough incident, satellite imagery synchronized with AWACS radar logs identified the exact launch point: a fortified missile site dug into the southern coast of China, 142 nautical miles from the shoal. The data was unambiguous. The launch signature matched the HQ-19 profile, a first-strike anti-stealth interceptor belonging to Beijing's most advanced air defense grid. Under U.S. rules of engagement, the conclusion was clear. Firing on an American aircraft in international airspace was not a misunderstanding. It was an unprovoked act of aggression. By 9:57 a.m., a secure video link connected 3 critical nodes of power: the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the commander of Indo-PACOM, and the president in the Situation Room. Advisors laid out the stakes. A single B-2 represented 10% of the entire stealth bomber fleet. The destruction of one would mean a $2.1 billion loss, and more dangerously, a strategic shockwave across the Pacific. The president did not hesitate. In less than 3 minutes, authorization was given. The retaliation would be precise, limited in scope, but overwhelming in effect. Its codename, Operation Iron Dagger. The mission was to erase the site that had launched the HQ-19. Objectives were crystal clear: destroy the missile battery, blind its radar, and collapse the hardened command bunker, while minimizing civilian casualties. The countdown began. T-minus 6 hours. Across Guam's air bases and aboard the carrier USS Ronald Reagan, crews scrambled. Bomb bays were armed, stealth fighters fueled, electronic warfare pods checked. The Pacific was stirring. If you were the supreme leader of the United States, would you retaliate immediately, or would you wait for an explanation from China? Tell me yes or no in the comments. Before you know what the US will use to counterattack, support us by liking and subscribing to the channel. Now watch history with me. By 10:15 a.m., the skeleton of Operation Iron Dagger was locked into Indo-PACOM's mission board. This was no warning shot. The plan was a synchronized assault, crafted to obliterate the HQ-19 launch site in less than 90 seconds from the first bomb release. The heart of the strike would be America's rarest war machine, 2B-2 Spirits, call signs Nightfall 1 and Nightfall 2. Each carried 8 GBU 31V3/B Joint Direct Attack munitions, 2,000-pound precision penetrators capable of drilling through reinforced concrete before detonating. With a circular error probable of under 10 meters, they could hit a doorway from 25,000 feet. 16 weapons in total, enough to turn a fortified complex into rubble. But the Spirits would not fly alone. Their long reach depended on 2 KC-46A Pegasus tankers, each hauling 212,000 pounds of fuel, ensuring the 6,000 nautical mile round trip was sustainable. Their guardians came in the form of 2 F-35C Lightning IIs, equipped with ANAPG-81 AESA radars capable of tracking 1,000 contacts at once. They carried AGM-88G advanced anti-radiation missiles, Mach 2 killers of surface-to-air radars. The deception layer was equally intricate. From the deck of USS Ronald Reagan, 8 FA-18E Super Hornets would release 32 ADM-160M ALDJ decoys. Each projected the radar return of a lumbering B-52 while broadcasting 500-watt jamming signals. On Chinese screens, over 100 Phantom bombers would suddenly appear, forcing commanders to divide their defenses. Electronic warfare muscle came from EA-18G Growlers, whose broadband jamming could blind networks up to 150 miles out, severing command links and disrupting communications across a 20 megahertz band. The attack would unfold along 3 vectors: decoys charging from the east, F-35Cs pressing in from the south, while the B-2s threaded silently through a low observable corridor from the southwest. On radar, their cross-section would look smaller than a golf ball. By T-4 hours, every aircraft was airborne. Tankers orbited in holding patterns. Super Hornets streaked east. Growlers spread their electronic haze. And deep in the Pacific night, the Spirits advanced. The cost of this orchestra of destruction was staggering. $6 billion worth of stealth aircraft, 80,000 pounds of precision ordnance, and over 1 million pounds of jet fuel, all committed to erasing one missile battery. What more weapons do you think would make the American strike more perfect? Now watch the destruction of the world's most advanced weaponry. By 2:03 a.m. local time, the strike package had crossed the commit line in the Philippine Sea. From that moment, there was no turning back. The 2 B-2 Spirits, Nightfall 1 and Nightfall 2, were less than 320 nautical miles from the Chinese coastline, running dark, silent, and nearly invisible. Their radar cross-section measured just 0.0001 square meters, smaller than a bird, and even China's most advanced phased array radars would have needed to be within 25 miles for a reliable track. At 35,000 feet, their GEF-118 engines whispered at minimum thrust, cutting thermal emissions to a bare flicker against the night sky. Ahead of them, the deception unfolded. 32 Mal-J decoys screamed eastward, each simulating the radar return of a lumbering B-52 while blasting 500-watt noise into Chinese early warning bands. On enemy scopes, an entire bomber wing now appeared to be charging across the horizon. Predictably, HQ-9 and HQ-22 batteries shifted their tracking radars toward the Phantom formation, allocating missiles and guidance channels to shadows. Flanking wide to the south, two F-35s prowled with their distributed aperture system active, able to spot the heat plume of a missile launched from 800 miles away. Their AGM-88G anti-radiation missiles hung ready, primed to silence any short-range SAM radar that dared to switch on as the Spirits closed in. At 2:14 a.m., the bombers crossed the Chinese shoreline at 31,000 feet. The onboard APQ-181 synthetic aperture radar painted the target. A 3-acre complex fortified with blast walls, housing the HQ-19 launchers, a radar dome 60 feet across, and a buried command bunker. GPS guidance aligned the JDAMs to within 18 inches of accuracy. The call came, weapons hot. In less than 15 seconds, 16 2,000-pound GBU-31 penetrators fell from the bomb bays. Silent until impact, they plunged near Mach 1. The first pair smashed into the radar dome, collapsing the giant array in a storm of shrapnel and sparks. Seconds later, the next wave obliterated the launchers, their fuel igniting into rolling fireballs. Secondary explosions roared as the HQ-19 boosters cooked off, scattering twisted debris for hundreds of yards. The final pair drilled into the command bunker, delayed fuses ensuring detonation deep inside. Concrete cracked, consoles vaporized, hardened steel doors bent outward like paper. In just 88 seconds from first impact, the complex ceased to exist. Flames burned at 2,000 degrees Celsius. Ammunition dumps cooked off in chain reactions audible more than 20 miles away. The Spirits did not linger. Banking west, throttles steady, they melted once more into the electromagnetic void. No afterburners, no contrails, just silence. Behind them, the F-35s orbited briefly, confirming with infrared sensors that the HQ-19 site was nothing but a cratered ruin. By 2:21 a.m., the strike force was already over open water. By 03:07 a.m., the strike package had cleared the danger zone. Far out over the Philippine Sea, the Spirits and their escorts slipped back into silence, engines humming low as they returned to friendly skies. Behind them, the Chinese coast glowed with fire. A final satellite pass confirmed what the pilots already knew. The HQ-19 battery had been annihilated. Not degraded, not damaged, erased. The Pentagon's damage assessment was swift and brutal. 3 HQ-19 launchers, each valued at more than $60 million, lay in twisted shards. A phased array radar system worth $150 million had been obliterated. 4 auxiliary vehicles, along with the hardened command center that directed them, had been reduced to molten wreckage. In total, $350 to $400 million in advanced military hardware had been destroyed in under 2 minutes. The operational impact was just as severe. With the site dark, a 120-mile segment of China's coastal air defense network collapsed, creating a temporary blind spot. Into that gap could flow American carrier groups, maritime patrol aircraft, and ISR drones, free of the long shadow cast by Beijing's anti-stealth umbrella. At 3:15 a.m., the president addressed the world. Backed by high-resolution satellite imagery and radar logs, the statement was direct. The B-2 Spirit had been targeted without provocation while flying in international airspace. The United States, he declared, had acted in accordance with Article 51 of the UN Charter, the inherent right of self-defense. His words cut with clarity: "We will defend our aircraft, our crews, and our freedom to operate anywhere international law allows." The geopolitical ripples spread quickly. Within 6 hours, the Philippines, Japan, and Australia released statements of solidarity, condemning China's recklessness and affirming support for America's measured response. Stock markets in Asia dipped at first but soon recovered as investors realized the strike was precise, limited, and designed to prevent escalation rather than ignite wider war. Inside China, intelligence intercepts revealed a flurry of activity within the Eastern Theater Command. Surviving HQ-19 units were redeployed deeper inland. Radar frequencies were shifted. Satellites repositioned to patch the Scarborough Gap. Yet the embarrassment could not be hidden. But the embarrassment remained. $350 million in cutting-edge air defense wiped out by two bombers that had never even been painted by radar. By sunrise, the B-2 Spirits were already back on the tarmac in Guam, engines cooling in the pre-dawn air. The mission had lasted just over 9 hours, a 6,000 nautical mile odyssey that began with a near-death encounter and ended with a fortress reduced to ash. Every objective had been achieved. The Spirits proved again why they remain unmatched. Invisible, unstoppable, devastating. In less than 2 minutes, they had cracked open what Beijing called impregnable, shattering confidence in China's most advanced defenses. The Scarborough incident was over in less than a day, but its consequences would echo for years. What began at 9:42 a.m. as a lone B-2 Spirit's quiet transit through contested skies ended in a meticulously executed strike that erased one of China's most advanced anti-stealth defenses in 88 seconds. The trajectory of the day was staggering. From a missile launch that nearly claimed one of America's rarest aircraft to a counterstrike that demonstrated the ruthless precision of U.S. power projection. Washington's message was unmistakable. Speed, resolve, and precision had converged to neutralize a threat before Beijing even realized the battle had started. For the United States, Operation Iron Dagger reinforced credibility across the Pacific. Allies and rivals alike now understood that American deterrence was not theoretical. It was proven, repeatable, and politically backed at the highest level. The response had been swift, proportionate, and devastating. For Beijing, the lesson was harsher. Detection does not equal survival. A radar echo, however faint, may register, but stealth technology, coupled with joint force integration, renders defenses fragile. 3 elements define this outcome: unmatched low observable engineering, seamless coordination of air, sea, and electronic warfare assets, and the unwavering political will to strike decisively. For allies like the Philippines, Japan, and Australia, the operation was reassurance that defense treaties were not hollow promises. The United States had acted when provoked, and it had acted with surgical precision, minimizing collateral damage while maximizing effect. The legacy of Scarborough is clear. The next time a hostile radar locks onto an American aircraft, adversaries will have no doubt about the certainty or the speed of the response. If you found this story gripping, don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth military analysis. Like this video to support the channel and share it so more people can see the truth behind the headlines.